Hi friends, Catherine Korostoff here from Research Rockstar. Are you somebody who does survey research? And if so, have you been thinking about whether or not you should invest your time into learning SPSS? It's a common question that I get from a lot of people who are newer to the world of survey research. So let's take a look at this important question. First of all, are you actually conducting survey research? So some of you might be on teams where other people have primary responsibility for actually doing the survey research or have primary responsibility for the data analysis. So it's not uncommon in some research and insights teams for there to be a smaller group of people who are really the data analyst specialists. They're the people who are going to be using tools like SPSS to generate the output. So first of all, if you're going to be considering using SPSS, you really want to be somebody who's conducting survey research on a fairly regular basis. Like any tool, if you're going to learn how to use it, you want to make sure you're going to be applying it pretty frequently. Otherwise, you're going to put a lot of time into learning something, and by the time you use it again, you'll already be rusty. SPSS is definitely one of those types of products, in my experience, where if you're going to learn to use it, you really want to start using it regularly for real work right away. So, should you actually bother to learn it? Now, I don't mean that learning SPSS is a bother. Obviously, I'm biased, but here at Research Rockstar, we do offer SPSS courses for market researchers. We try to make it as easy as possible, but anytime you learn a new software program of any kind, there's always going to be a learning curve. So it is an investment, and it would be misleading to suggest that it's super easy to learn SPSS. It's certainly easier than it was years ago. Obviously, the current version of SPSS has got a lot of ways that makes it extremely easy for you to specify what kind of data analysis you want to conduct and how you want the output to look. Still, there is a real learning curve. And even if you decide that you want to learn how to do your own data analysis, you also have to ask yourself the question, should it be SPSS, or should it be Q, or should it be another alternative? So a lot of this is just, it depends. It's going to depend on your situation. I would say if you're somebody who's going to be doing data analysis hands-on at least once a month, it may be a good idea for you to learn how to use SPSS or Q or another similar statistical analysis program. It's also going to be more worthwhile for you if you're somebody who is typically working on projects where you sometimes wish you could run your own additional analyses without delay. Maybe you're currently on a team where somebody else is primarily doing the data analysis. Maybe you're the person who did the questionnaire design and the questionnaire programming, and maybe you're the person who's going to write the research report, but not the person who actually generated the data output. So sometimes when you get data output from somebody else, even if it's a team member, a colleague, somebody you like, sometimes you're looking through your data and you have those moments of, oh, I want to run one more analysis. Maybe you see something interesting in a certain frequency distribution of a variable, or maybe you see an interesting crosstab that makes you want to look at your data a little bit differently. Well, you can submit that request to your data analysis colleague, or you can do it yourself. So depending on how your team is set up, for some people, it's really easy, it's really fast to get it from a colleague. On a lot of other teams, though, those resources, the people who are actually doing data analysis, tend to have a backlog, and they don't always have the ability to respond as quickly as you may want. You've just gotten your data output, you're reading through all your analysis, getting ready to write your report, and you really don't want to have that bottleneck of, oh, now I have to wait another couple of days to get this extra cut on my data or to get this new variable that I want to look at. And so if you're somebody who really looks at your data closely and you want to be able to do additional analyses without delay, it really can be worthwhile to learn how to do the basics yourself. I'm not saying you have to learn how to do everything yourself, but to at least be able to do some basic functions, to be able to run your own frequency distributions, to be able to create new variables using the compute command, for example. Maybe you want to consolidate some variables. Maybe you want to consolidate a scale. Some really easy things that we do that if you had the ability to do yourself, you might even be more likely to do them. That is, you might actually take more time on your data analysis and really refining your analysis if you had the ability to do it instantly yourself. How about this? Are you somebody who's ever wanted to QA your data analysis output? Maybe you trust your colleague who's doing the data analysis for you, but sometimes when you're looking through the descriptive statistics or you're looking through your banner tables or other output, you see things that make you want to dig in a little bit more and just make sure everything is correct. Maybe you have a hunch that that there's an error somewhere. If you've had that experience, then having the ability to dive into the data yourself, take a closer look, do a little sanity checking can be something that frankly ends up saving you a lot of heartache down the road. And I know a lot of researchers who do work with data analysts or other colleagues who are running SPSS or Q or other programs for them, but they still want the ability to go in and look themselves. And so if that's something that's relevant for you, it can be worthwhile to at least get some basic skills in using these types of programs. So again, maybe it's SPSS, maybe it's Q, maybe it's something else. But if you are somebody who would be using this skill at least once a month so you're not going to get rusty. If you are somebody who likes to really get into the data and run additional analyses and create new variables and really get the most value out of the data you've collected, it may be worthwhile. And if you're somebody who really does like to QA data, who wants to be able to take a closer look instead of being totally dependent on somebody else to assure them that the data is correct, again, that's another reason why you may want to invest time into using SPSS or Q or other programs yourself. Now, I know in some organizations, your team may already have SPSS or Q and you may have to standardize. For those of you who are in a team that doesn't currently have a license for SPSS or Q in-house yet, as you go out and you look at these programs, you will find that there are some pretty big cost differences. But just be careful as you're comparing the costs and how they're priced. Obviously, SPSS is owned by IBM. Q is owned by Q Research Software. But you do want to look at the pricing options very carefully. And also, as you start to evaluate those packages, be sure you know which specific modules and capabilities you're going to want. For example, if you go with SPSS, you may actually end up having to purchase a couple of different modules to get all the functionality you want. So you want to be careful when you're comparing the cost of the different products. I hope that conversation was helpful for those of you who might be debating about whether or not to invest your time into learning SPSS or even Q or one of the other programs. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode. Make sure you never miss a new one by clicking the subscribe button now.